Hello, beautiful creative soul, and welcome back to another episode of Chakra-Care for the Creative Soul. And today we're going to be talking about preparing for sacred union by clearing out karmic relationship patterns with our very special guest today, Sonja Evans, who is a fantastic multidimensional seer, healer, and oracle. And you're going to want to be here. You can ask her your questions live in the studio. And before I formally introduce you to her, I really want to take a moment and acknowledge the visionary of this Oneness Talk radio platform, beloved wisdom teacher Sri Ram Ka, who I just learned yesterday morning has transitioned from this earth plane into his at oneness with his multidimensional presence. And in honor of his vision, I wouldn't be here, and Sonja wouldn't be here with me. We wouldn't be here sharing what we're going to be sharing today about any of this. And there's so many people on this platform too, thanks to Shri's generosity, kindness, vision, that have made all of these programs possible. And so I'm going to invite everyone right now to bring your hands to your heart if it's safe to do so. And we're going to join in 3 beautiful Ave Saw breaths together. And if this is your first time watching and you're not familiar with what an Ave Saw breath is, it's simply a way to remember that we're so much more than who we think we are and to connect with our expanded sense of self, our divine multidimensional self. So on the Ave, on the inhalation, we're going to breathe in Ave, which is a hail, an opening to the divine mastery presence in all of us. And then on the exhalation, we're going to release a Sa, allowing a beautiful smile to form on our face, which is an acknowledgement of a surrendering to that divine mastery presence in all of us, a trusting, a letting go, a knowing, a remembering. And so now I'm going to invite you to join me in 3 of these beautiful breaths in honor of beloved Sri Ram Ka. Ave, Sa. Ave, Sa. Ave, Sa. And just breathing in that awareness, breathing in that presence. And right now my heart is overflowing with peace, love, and joy to beautiful, beloved Shri. We know you are here with us right now, and we are deeply blessed and honored to have you everywhere now. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And, you can't plan these things. I want to introduce our beautiful special guest today, Sonja Evans. And here she is. Hi, Sonja.
Hi. Can you hear me okay, Polly?
I can. I'm so honored and thrilled and happy and grateful that you're here today.
Well, thanks for having me here. It's an honor to be here.
I'm going to start off by introducing you to everyone and just say that I met Sonja years ago online when I was going through a lot of life changes in my own life. And I started listening to your to your audios, your healing audios. And I think I filled an entire library with your work. And so Sonja Evans is a multidimensional seer who has been on the ascension path since 1999 and is actively serving as a healer and oracle and has been doing that since 2013. Sonja uses her natural intuitive gifts, astrology, tarotstrology, I hope I'm saying that right, and tapping into the quantum fields to support earth angels, starseeds, and lightworkers in releasing consciousness and light body distortions to embody more of their higher codes. Her healing niches include, but are not limited to, healing trauma fields, light body repair, childhood traumas, mapping and collapsing dark systems and spiritual warfare, and healing gender splitting that manifests as relationship distortions. She also trains lightworkers to tap into their own spiritual genius and activate their mission codes. Her work can be found at Earth Angel Academy 144.org.
Yes.
And uh, this is just a blessing and an honor. And it was interesting. I just want to preface our coffee chat with
Coffee and water.
coffee and water. Yes. I've got my Cosmo, my docking station mug here.
Oh, I love that. I love the colors in that.
And thank you. And what I really enjoyed and felt blessed by over all of these years of having gotten to know you better and worked with you and been blessed by your healing work and guidance is your intuitive and capacity is really incredible, and you really cultivated it and nourished it. And when I was curious about what you felt guided to share today and you tuned into it, you were talking about sacred union, and I can't think of a more honoring topic today because our beloved Master Lady Kira and Sri Ram Ka have embodied sacred union
Mm,
on such a profound level. And what a beautiful way to honor them today and to acknowledge that that sacred union, is something that starts within all of us. And I'm curious
right.
what your take is on sacred union and what you feel guided to share with everyone today on that topic.
Well, I think that one of the main reasons why Spirit had laid this topic on my heart was because, when you map this out, just looking at the whole, just where we're at as a collective right now, we have a lot of South Node energy coming in through the Libra South Node, which is our inner balance, that inner union within, and how that manifests on the outside world as far as what we draw to ourselves in terms of relationship. But not only that, but when I sort of tune into the timelines and tune into the fields, as we build this new Earth timeline, as we've commissioned to do, and as this process is bringing us into, there's a calling forth at this time of spiritual leadership, which is bringing masculine and feminine together below as it is above. And then we're in this universal eight energy, numerologically, which kind of brings that energy down into the physical realm. So we are starting to heal from within. And many of us, I don't know too many of us who have not been in what I call the twin flame crazy go round at some point. In fact, I think that that's how we met, because that was sort of the focus of my earlier work. And for many of us, that situation was designed to sort of mirror back the state of whatever, energy within us was sort of in an inversion or in this distorted state, so that we could heal that and to really source from connecting to those places and spaces where we have been programmed to not see our worth, not love ourselves, in addition to, the miasmic patterns we take on from childhood and those traumas and the ones we come in here from other lifetimes with. So we've been really purifying a lot of these templates, because many of us, and certainly if you're watching this show or attracted even to Polly's work, or you're in this on this path anyway, you're sort of here to pave that new pathway. And much of that comes from that healing within and that healing without. It just so happens that the potential for many of us to connect into sacred partnership with what I like to call the kingdom spouse kind of energy, which is somebody that you're meant to build with, as we mirror that unification of Holy Mother, Holy Father, that creation code in our physical lives and in our relationships. And this is sort of like the template for that new earth relationship that's coming into play. But it does start within ourselves. It comes in vertically as well with our union from the divine, and that's what's fueling a lot of the star energy. For those of you who are not aware, that numerologically, this is a universal 8 year, which corresponds with the star energy of the major arcana. It's that archetypal energy that we're drawing from. This is wish fulfillment. And one thing that I did see in my work, just working with twin flames, is that for a lot of us, we knew we had that remnant in our hearts that there was this partnership, this person with whom we are meant to build, that we're calling in energetically, because we are part of that creation code that births this new world system. However that comes into play, whether it's bringing in the next generation of children, or doing a ministry together, or business, or just anchoring that light through the love that you share with one another. Everyone knew that, but what ultimately showed up was just the opposite, and it was brokenness and dashed dreams, discouragement and disillusionment, which was meant to bring forth some of those places and spaces that are mirroring that original God wound of being disconnected from the divine, disconnected within ourselves through the traumas that we've experienced, so that we can heal those. And so now we're entering into this space where it's open and available for us to start building that. But what we're needing to do is kind of clear the way to that star energy, which is, that having your hope and faith renewed, and that wish fulfillment. So this is kind of the phase that we're in. I hope I'm not kind of all over
You
the
know what?
place.
I got to jump in here. It's 11:11
Oh,
a.m., so
oh
you can't make
wow.
this
It
stuff up,
is.
as you would say. Yes. So
Yeah. Yeah.
universe is backing you up on that one.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, what we have been going into, and I feel like the timing on this call is so perfect, because we're going into sort of like a window of the full moon in Leo, which is, I think, on the 24th or 5th, or later in the week. So we're kind of in this energy where there is an emotional resonance that's shifting, because this always comes in with major lunar cycles, where we are receiving, or we're coming full circle, and we're closing out a cycle of healing that began last summer, when we had Venus going retrograde, and also the nodal shift into the Aries Libra polarity started to come online as well, where we are able to start healing those energies around our heart, through the clearing and the healing of the patterns that we've taken on. Leo, all of the astrology signs, they carry certain alchemical properties, and with Leo, it's the law of suggestion, which simply um, says that we are the sum total of the thoughts and the beliefs and the things that were spoken into us and over us. So we've been purging deeply within our love templates around this, and healing, so that our true source energy, Leo's ruled by the sun, can really start to move forward in our lives as the primary broadcast that we magnetize into our lives. And this is bringing in the potential for sweeping changes this year, aligning with that star energy. That's that true north that can lead us into the new beginning that comes in through the Aries polarity. So I feel, to make a long story short, I think the reason why this call came in is because of its significance to the Lightworker community, the Ascending Collective, at this time energetically.
Well, and I love what you shared about, and the way you expressed it too. I just want to highlight that for everyone, because it struck a chord in me, the layers of all the messaging
Yeah.
uh, over the years, from childhood on up, and from every experience we've had, collectively, up into a certain point, up until this now moment in our lives, really.
Mhm.
And it's because we hear so much lately about how to tune into ourselves, and leave that outer noise,
Mhm.
to the side. And because the energy right now, is very, it's very sticky. We're in this sort of fluid
Yes.
energy right now. The sort of, I know Sri and Kira talk about the field of adaptability, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like that noise can pull us down really quickly.
Mhm.
And at the same time, the more that we're able to purge it out of our systems, to discern which is of the light and of our truth and of our authenticity, and which is not, but we've taken
Yes.
it on,
Yes.
if
Yes.
I'm feeling guided to say it, it's like that is where we create the spaciousness to um, stabilize.
Yes.
And when I say stabilize, because I know you're also a chakra dance facilitator too. I just want to
Yes.
highlight that because I know when I say the word stabilize, I was getting a ping there. I was like, everybody knows what I'm talking about. Stabilize doesn't mean stand still. Stabilize means be able to flow on that fluid field, right?
Right, and still remain anchored in your truth and who you are, even though you've got all these other currents pulling at you. Yeah,
Exactly,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
and
yeah.
and I think that's something too that, when we talk about, purging things out and stabilizing, it's that clarity around, no matter what comes my way, I have this, like, this set point, this new set point in me, this connection
Mhm.
to my own source. Like, I'm not sourcing it from out there, I'm sourcing it from the divine. And also
Yes.
that connection within me that sources from the divine is really crystal clear and anchored. And so that, because when we're out here on the outer periphery, the edges, right, we can get knocked around a lot.
You definitely can. You definitely can. And I love the way that you phrase that. And it really brings, it highlights even, with your own work when you talk about chakra care. And I remember you had asked me when preparing for this call to think a little bit about self-care and what that means. And I find that what we're doing, especially when we're pulling out of the Libra South node, because the South node energy is usually the shadow of that energy where we might be imbalanced, whether in our energy or whatever. It's almost like the way that it was shown to me is that, when I was meditating on that question about self-care, because I feel like it's very relevant to what we're talking about, it is, when I think about caring for the self, it's looking after the self. And I think as spiritual beings, it's looking out for the whole self. That includes, the thoughts, the feelings, the physical as well, that create this wholeness, that create, that enables us to really start connecting to our truth and seeing that reflected on the outside in our realities as those shift as well. And it is sort of a constant refining where, as we clear those patterns that you were talking about, we're able to align just that more. It's almost like the needle on the compass just finds more of its magnetism so that we can start to nail that. And this is, something that I feel very profoundly, for the collective this upcoming year, not just the potentials, but the actualization of that as well.
Well, and that was, sort of another question I had too, is as we do clear all this out, because, oh, actually, that's a new question just popped in. Actually, it
Yeah.
just airlifted in, because what guidance would you have for people who still have? I feel like this is so common along the inner awakening path, where there's an aspect of ourselves that really wants to heal, really wants to clear out, as you said, the karmic relationship patterns, let go of the static on the line. And yet there's another, perhaps, part of ourselves that, offers a little bit of pushback or resistance to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so the carrot, you've just been dangling a beautiful carrot of wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
And yet there is this self-sabotage cycle sometimes that, we find ourselves, despite our highest intentions, getting
Uh-huh.
caught up in. What do you feel guided to share about that?
Well, I'm so glad that you asked that, because I've been getting many lessons about this just as we've transitioned into the new year. And, the way that it was shown to me is, within the collective, the what is happening for many of us now is that we're on that new timeline, or many of us are just sort of skirting or flirting with the doorway to that new timeline. But the way that it was shown to me, and in my work, especially lately, I've been getting a lot of downloads about really unlocking mental prisons. And those mental prisons just source from those places that are still not made perfect in love. They're still in that fear energy, whether it's from conditioning or whether it's from, the self-worth stuff, wherever it's coming from. And what the divine was showing me that many of us have to realize, just because all of these energies, and we're always talking about, and ascension symptoms and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, all of this has been affecting all of us who have been committed to doing the work. So we're on new timelines. But what's happening that is really keeping us from seeing clearly is sort of like an institutionalization. And so within the prison system, there's this understanding that if you've been there a long time, that once you're out, it becomes very hard to assimilate into the culture at large. And this is what a lot of us are doing, on the path, and that we are on the new timeline, but it is those places where we're still thinking we're in the prisons of fear, that we're not really experiencing or connecting to the possibilities that exist within the quantum field that we're in. And once you start to clear those, you start to see clearly. because I know for me, I had a huge lesson in this just moving into 2024, where, I was continuing to kind of complain because I was just kind of in a weird space. I know the energies going into the year, the first week or two were kind of weird anyway, but I was just kind of complaining, like, oh, blah, 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 just kind of feeling sorry for myself because of things that I was like, okay, so when is this going to happen? But the moment that I really started to look, I just moved to a place that is pretty much the place I wanted to manifest. Sure, there were some other things that weren't coming online for me, but when I started to see that I'm already here, and it's me thinking, going into that space again, it's that original God wound where we feel so separated from that source of love and protection and provision, and we're still operating from that we can't see what is actually coming together. And so I would say to those people to know that at any time, when we're ready to kind of face those fears as the illusions that they are, and as we're willing to open up and, create a space within our field of devotion, and that's a huge template that is bringing in the new sacred unions, is us being able to open up and receiving devotion from the divine that heals that God wound. And as we do, we start to embody that energy of being loved, being the beloved. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're being prepped for, and that's what the star energy, a lot of it, is bringing in for us. And as we are even okay with our fears and just continue to open up to that divine unconditional love, as something that we are moving toward and aligning toward. I mean, you can even think of the star to align to is the divine love, unconditional love. That as we align to that as a commitment and as an intention, we start to see through the illusions and all those little scary things we thought would happen if we went this way or that didn't happen or whatever it is. It starts to melt away and a new reality starts to come online for you. And it is a process. I know for many of us, some of the fears run so deep, some of them go back into ancient fears. So I feel it's a two-way street where we're always willing and being willing to face our fears, and that too is part of moving into the Aries North Node, because the Aries energy, that's where the new beginning is, and that is that courageous warrior kind of energy. It's represented by the Fool card, where he's about to jump off the cliff and he's just doesn't care. And so, I mean, that's where the seeds of our new beginnings are, is to be able to feel the fear and do it anyway. Then we find out how much of an illusion it is, and it loses its hold on us, and then our new realities kind of congeal, as we take that inspired action or whatever it is that we're guided to do. So that is, the advice that I would give them, is to continue to face the fears, and that while you're doing that, continue to do whatever it is you're guided to do, to start opening up to divine love and seeing yourself as the beloved, and really working with any issues, whether you want to work with a trusted healer or ask your guides yourself to start showing you the origins of this fear, or this, just clearing out those distortions, whatever it is that keeps you in the space of limitation. Doing that with the sincerity of heart. It's almost like, you ask, seek, knock, it will be given, it will be opened up for you, etc. So that is, the advice that I would give, and maybe much more, but I know we're on a time constraint
Yes. Well, that's wonderful advice, and not just advice, it's guidance. It's because I love to how you encourage people to ask the divine to show you, right? Because that in and of itself is an activation and trust, right?
It is, yeah.
It really is. And I love what you also shared about acknowledging that we're already here, and talking about the mental prisons. And I think that is such an important reminder
Mhm.
that, when we're really you know on the timeline, to be able to recognize it, to accept it, actually, to and this is where, you know I- what's your take on karma? Because there was the karmic dispensation years ago, and
Mhm.
yet I feel that links in somehow to what you just shared about how, i- if we can accept we're on the new timeline, if we can accept it, then there's a sort of a recalibration that happens, if as long as we can recognize it for what it is. And
Mhm.
if we keep pushing away what's actually in front of us because we're recycling old pain loops,
Mhm, mhm,
then
mhm.
is talk to me about why you think people are still talking about karma in 2024.
Well, that's a really good question, and I think part of it is that and this is that's the same thing about the mental prisons, is that we can get caught in consciousness traps that might be beliefs that worked when we were in a certain frequency band or when we were on a certain timeline, but there are shifts and changes that move past that. In fact, the ascension cycle enables us to leave the karmic loop and return to God's source, if you're a star seed, your home world, or wherever your next adventure is. So, it kind of opened up the spaces where, I don't want to get into all of the chelantics and all the deep woo woo, but, it is a system that is being dismantled so that we may return to the true source without having to continue to recycle. I think that part of it is, it could be a little consciousness trappy where, this is what we believed all of these years and it's always going to be this way, and not necessarily so. These are my personal feelings. But I think it could be too the misunderstanding of the concept of karma. And my idea, or what was downloaded to me, is that karma is simply cause and effect. It's like, when you do this, this is the outcome. And so when I use the term karmic energies, what I mean are the causes, which are the distortions that continue to loop us around in a certain effect, whether that's in this lifetime or whether it spanned 6 million years, or whatever the case may be. I personally don't ascribe to this idea that, we keep coming back here to kind of master. So I do feel it is that way to a certain extent. But if you consider yourself to be a star seed or an earth angel, or somebody who's on the path to transcending those systems in this lifetime, I think it gets a little bit different with that. But when I use the word karmic, like karmic relationship patterns, it's just the old stuff that keeps creating the old stuff. That's what I
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, time to let in the new stuff, right?
exactly. Exactly.
And focus on the good stuff, right?
Exactly, exactly. It is that, and it's about us reconnecting into our a powerful ability to co-create with God's source. But we have to be in agreement that we deserve this, we're worthy of this. This is our birthright, to thrive and prosper and bring our light out into the world. And as we embody that more, the embodiment of that happens at a more expanded space as we start to clear out that old energy and those old programs. So if you find yourself in a sabotage loop, or if you find yourself, maybe even still cycling around something that keeps showing up as a feedback loop in your life, I really do believe that, one, first understand that it is a feedback loop that's showing you something in your external reality about something you may be believing about yourself, or how life works, or whatever, that may not originate from you, that law of suggestion. Especially with the full moon energy coming up, there's an opportunity to really shift your emotional resonance to those things you've been manifesting in that way. In fact, we're just day one into Aquarius energy, which is the mental body. So this is that opportunity to work with those energies of thinking outside the box and destroying the box, really,
Mhm.
to break that down. So we're in a very powerful window before we get into the equinox energies that bring online the star energy, because we're still straddling two fences from last year's energies right now. It will definitely, give you kind of a leg up with getting on board for that. But it really does require us looking at the shadow energies, those places and spaces that we may be disowning, projecting on others, even those dark things about ourselves that scare us. Loving that whole self, that's self-care, loving the whole self, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then as we do, and we move into that space where we're really, in that space of unconditional love that doesn't deny that we've got this stuff over here, and doesn't deny our light either, but we love it all. I really do believe it opens up that space of knowing that we're here with a worth and value, being able to see that, and that opens up that space to receive somebody else who also sees us as we truly are, messy, and even if we're a hot mess, and being able to love that. I think one of the issues that I do have, especially when we're talking about relationships, because so much of my work has been around partnership for years, is that there's this sort of belief where you have to like heal all your blocks and do all this inner work before you're worthy of a partner. When if we're moving into a template where it's being seen as you are, being able to open up and move past that, it's sort of like camouflage perfectionism is what I call it, and being able to be okay and love ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as we continue to purify, we can magnetize someone, even right now, even if your life is a mess, who sees you as you are and still has that template of devotion to you because they're holding that energy of unconditional love. And you have a space within your field to hold it too. And, I feel like this is where the clearing of the trauma and being diligent to do our inner work comes from, because a lot of us have grown up with that conditional love template, or at worst, just being parented by a narc where we've had to make ourselves disappear to survive, which may have worked back then, but we're in the new. So we have to stop the old and start clearing out from the old story. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That was such a wonderful sort of cherry on top for a conversation today, because really and truly, you spoke to something very important there. That and to so that really our viewers today can make the most of this 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 now moment with the Aquarian energies and the full moon coming up this week, and you just the devotion templates, loving ourselves. This is something that I feel is a wonderful reminder that, you know again, it starts inside of ourselves. We're not chasing it out there. We're not trying to control and fix and get things, our ducks in a row, in order to be okay in here.
Mhm, mhm.
And so, wow, thank you.
You're welcome. Uh,
And I would love to have you back on the show. Beca-
Absolutely. Just let me know. I've got a
for
lot of
sure.
time on my hands.
Okay, wonderful. Because if we yeah, today, I just want to honor the time, because there is going to be another um, uh, offering from the studio coming up very shortly in the next half an hour.
Mhm.
And but I would love to have you back on the show to offer an activation,
Oh, sure.
or anything that you feel guided to, because your work is wonderful. And so I'll invite you to just sit with that and listen to what you feel called to with that. And I want to just extend an enormous thank you, heartfelt thank you. And before we close, I know at the beginning of the show, if anyone again is interested, it's Earth Angel Academy.
Oh, I
Um,
do want to say that I'm in the
okay,
process
yeah,
of rebranding. So while Earth Angel Academy is an actual website, I can still be contacted at sophiareturns.com probably
okay.
through the end of the month. So yeah, so if you want to check out my work or anything like that, you can go to that website.
Yeah, because definitely you have a lot of healing audio. So if someone is wondering, I love everything that Sonia just shared, and it's really pinging for me.
Mhm.
And I just like a little more guidance, or something that I can use as a resource beyond this call. I do really urge you to check out her offerings, and your offerings. You're sitting right here. Sorry. What is happening to me?
It's the multi-dimensionalism. You're just kind of
Yes.
seeing me in different.
That's exactly what it is. That's the fun of adapting to the field of multidimensionality.
Yes.
You're everywhere all at once. Everything all at once, right? There's a movie called,
Yes.
oh gosh, we're on YouTube. I hope I don't cancel that. But definitely, yeah, these resources have really supported me over the years, and I know they've been supporting many and thousands. And so, thank you so much, Sonia.
You're welcome.
Heartfelt thank you for being here today. And it's been an honor and a blessing. And on that note, I look forward to having you back here again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, Polly. I loved our conversation, and may everyone in the audience just have a blessed day. And yeah,
Oh, wonderful. Well, okay, with that is a perfect note to close on. Infinite creative blessings, everyone.
take care.